Hey guys, welcome to the Evaluating Expressions review video. I'm going to go step by step through each problem so that you have a better understanding of how to solve evaluating expressions for your test. So please make sure you have your review with you so that as we are going through the problems, if you need to make any corrections, you can do that. And so let's get started. So let's first take a look at these vocabulary words that are crucial to understand before you can actually complete an evaluating expressions problem. So we have to know what the word evaluate means, and if you look in the word evaluate, you'll see the word value. So evaluate means to find the value of, and that could be to find the value of an expression, to find the value of an equation, a variable. So it means to find the value of or to solve if it's like a numerical expression that's in order of operations. So substitute means, so if you think about having a substitute teacher, it means that somebody is replacing me for a moment, for that day. So substitute means to take the place of. So you are going to take the place, a number is going to take the place of a variable. So for example, if I had x equals 3 and there was a 3x plus 4 problem, I would substitute in for the x and solve the problem. Okay, and variables are unknown numbers, but can be defined. So when you're looking at variables, you're thinking, okay, this variable could be any number, but sometimes, for example, when evaluating expressions, they define the variable for you, as you see, for example, in x equals 3. They defined that variable for you. So let's first read the directions. It says, when evaluating expressions, show the step where you substitute the value in for each variable. Man, that one sentence has all three of the vocabulary words that we just defined. Do not use x to represent multiplication. Show all steps for solving the problem. Okay, so let's first look at this first problem. So it says p plus 17 if p equals 8. So p is going to equal 8, so I'm going to substitute in 8 for the p. So this would be 8 plus 17, and then we would follow order of operations, which there's only adding. So we would say this answer would be 25. In the next problem, we have 5t. We have to remember when we have a variable and a number beside each other, that means multiplication. This is really saying 5 times t. So we're going to replace the t this time with a 7. So 5 times 7, which we know is 35. Okay, and then we have this that looks like a fraction, which it is a fraction, but we also know that every fraction is a division problem. So we are going to replace the x with a 2 in this problem. So this would be 30 divided by 2, which when simplified is 15. Now let's take a look at 4 and 5. So 4 has an exponent. Remember when we see the number, a smaller number that is higher in the air, that is an exponent. So this is z to the power of 3, and they are saying that z needs to become a 4. So we would rewrite this as 4 to the power of 3. And we have to remember with exponents, the best thing to do as we are learning exponents is to write it in expanded form. And exponents mean repeated multiplication. So this is 4 times 4 times 4. We never, ever do 4 times 3 because you promised Miss Gillum you would never do that when you're dealing with exponents. So 4 times 4 right here is 16. So then we have to do 16 times 4. And you may want to come off to the side and work it out. 4 times 6 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus that 2 is 64. So 4 to the third power is 64. In the next problem we have 3m plus g if m is 4 and g is 12. So I'm going to plug in 4 for M, and then I'm going to plug in 12 for G. So we have to remember that this means 3 times 4 plus 12. And then we solve using order of operations. So we need to remember the order of operations tell us that multiplication goes before adding and subtracting. So we need to take care of the 3 times 4, which is 12, plus 12, which we know is 24. In the second part, it says to evaluate the expression using the values m equals 7, r equals 8, and t equals 2. So we're using those 3 for all of the problems below. So the first one says 5n minus 6t. So I'm going to replace the m with the 7, so 5 times 7. And if you're wondering where the 7 came from, right there, m equals 7. Minus, and then we have 6t, and t is 2, so 6 times 2. And then following order of operations, we multiply first, so 5 times 7 is 35, minus 6 times 2 is 12. And then we can do 35 minus 12, and you will get 23. Okay, next we have one that has all variables and no numbers. So once again, even though it is a variable and a variable right beside each other, MR really means M times R. Okay, so our M is 7, so we're going to do 7 times RR, which is 8, divided by the T, which is 2. And then we have to follow order of operations, which this is all multiplying and dividing, so we need to multiply the numerator, 7 times 8, which is 56, and then we're going to divide that by 2. And if you need to, you can, I'm going to come over to the side here, 56, 2, if you think about 2 will go into 50, how many times? It'll go in there 2, well, you could say 25, but we would say like 20. So this would give me the 40. You'll be left with 16, which we know goes in there 8. Some of you might be able to do that step in your head, but I just wanted to make sure everybody understood. Okay, so next we have 6 parentheses M plus R. So we have to remember that when we have a number outside the parentheses, it means to multiply as well. Remember, multiply is like a chameleon. It can change the way it looks. So this would be 6 times the sum of M is 7 plus R, which is 8. So then we have 6 parentheses, 7 plus 8 is 15. So then I would have 15 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 90. So we have 90 for that answer. Okay, so we have 2 more problems in this section where we are solving. So it says t to the 6 over r, so we're going to replace our t with 2. So this is going to become 2 to the 6th power over r, which is 8. And then if we remember to write our exponents in expanded form, it helps us solve it. So it would be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So I like to group mine. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. So then I have 4 times 4, which is 16. And remember, it's always multiplying. I saw some people in the concept check, they would add and do 4 plus 4 plus 4, which gives 12. Remember, we are only multiplying with exponents. And then 16 times 4 is 64. So then I would change this to, whoops, no equation, even though they are equal, we're writing expressions. 64 over 8, which we know simplifies to 8. And then on 10, you have m plus r to the power of 2. So you have to leave the parentheses, so 7 plus r, which is 8 to the 2nd power. So then we have 15 to the power of 2. So you would have to do 15 times 15. And if we come to the side and work this out, 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. And we add that, 12. So we get 225 for the answer for number 10. Okay, now flip over to the back and we are doing number, well, there's not a number beside it, but we're doing the back problem. So it says find the perimeter of the following rectangle if A equals 9 centimeters and B equals 6 centimeters. So for this problem, we are not just finding the area, we're finding the area and perimeter. So we have to remember that to find area, it's area equals base times height. So in this problem, I would go and write that A is 9 centimeters, B is 6 centimeters. So the area would equal 6 times 9, and so the area would be 54, remember, centimeters squared. And then for perimeter, we are just going to simply add all of the sides together. So we have 9 centimeters plus 9 plus 6 plus 6. So 9 plus 9 is 18. 6 plus 6 is 12. And then if we add that together, that is 30 centimeters. Okay, and our last problem says to find the area of the perimeter of the following rectangle if x is 10 and y is 32. So once again, I would write x is 10, y is 32. Still, we're finding area, which is base times height. So in this problem, our base is going to be, 10 times our height, which is 32. And that would be 320. And even though there's no label, you should still put units squared. And then for our next problem, for the perimeter, we would add all the sides. So this one we would have 32 plus 32 plus 10 plus 10. So this would be 64 plus 20, which makes 84 units. And notice it's not squared because it's not the inside area, because the inside is what makes the squares. And we're done with the evaluating expressions review. If you still have questions, you can either comment in the comments or you can ask me in class tomorrow. Have a great night.